All right, we're back after that short, abbreviated break. 1 second here while I try to fix this up. Uh, All right, sorry about that. We are back. Do us a favor, click the like button, leave a comment. Can be about anything. I guess this will be part 2 of the stream tonight. You won't be able to access part 1 until tomorrow. I'll get on that. But without further ado, sponsor here at the channel, one hell of an artist himself, and he's got something pretty cool to announce. We haven't overly prepped this announcement, so bear with it being raw and straight to the point. But he's also going to join us to discuss the future of Scream and Halloween. It's Chris. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's up? How you guys doing?
What's up, Chris?
Pleasure to have you back under better circumstances.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely.
So you and I talked about how you could come back into the fold as a sponsor, and we came up with this idea. And well, why don't you just tell the audience what you're going to actually here? I'll start with this. Over the next, we're not sure when it's going to start. Sometime in the next few weeks, hopefully. But Mike and I are. Dean and I, Mike's welcome to come if he wants, are going to be with you all. And we're going to be in like the little corner that I'm in when Dean's doing show and tell, and taking up a big chunk of the rest of the space is going to be Chris working on a Halloween mask. Now, rather than just Chris working through the process and showing us all how it's done, we're going to be talking about Halloween, the franchise in general, and we'll have specific topics for each night. But Chris has decided to do something unique with that mask. And why don't you let us all know what you're doing with it and what mask it is?
So for the giveaway that we're talking about, I'm going to be working on air the Rob Zombie H1 mask, which will be the mask that is given away. I'm sorry, I lose. Oh, there we go. And so I'll be going through different stages when I'm painting, and we'll go through the weathering process and what I look for and things that I'm looking out for when I'm doing a mask. I'll try to be as detailed as possible about that. I'll even break down even to what I use and how I do it and everything else. So I'm looking forward to it. I've not worked on a Rob Zombie mask probably since before, probably about a couple months before Halloween 2018 came out. So it's been a long time, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to work on one of those. I've done nothing but the David Gordon Green trilogy since the release of Halloween 2018. So this is going to be a very fun thing for me to do, and looking forward to sharing it with you guys.
Would you say, I didn't know it had been that long for you since you did a 2018 mask, but now that I think about it, Rob Zombie mask, I suppose prior to 2018, other than the 1978 original, I'm guessing that's probably the thing you got the most requests for.
Oh yeah, most of the time it's 2018 kills, ends, and then of course 1978 is probably the most requested one out of all of them. I've had a few wanting some part 4 blanks done up, which is part 4 of, I mean, that's super easy to do. There's nothing to that one, but so far 1978 and then the David Gordon Green trilogy has been the most requested ones.
Apologies, guys. Multitasking on the go here. So this is how you're going to be able to enter the contest. It's really, really simple. We're going to give you different options each week over the course of the next month or so. We'll give you an end date to it. And each week, it's going to be something new. So if you want the best chance you can have at winning this thing, you're going to want to tune in over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks here as we do it. Your step number 1 is heading over to our other YouTube channel, The Legacy of Halloween. Subscribe to it. If you're already subscribed to it, then you're already in it as long as you comment on a video from this date moving forward. So you got to subscribe and comment on any video over there. That is step one. That will get your name in the contest one time. But the point is, you're going to have a chance for your name to be in it four or five other times. We're working on launching new X and Instagram accounts with the staff we have at the channel. And so there'll be additional weeks where you can go and do one of those things, and your name could be in it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times. Now, it obviously gives you the best chance to win, but it's quite possible someone who's in it once could win. So follow the channel over the next month or so, and then as we're doing that, you'll have the opportunity to see the mask come to life by Chris himself. Dude, it means a lot that you're willing to do this. Obviously,
Absolutely.
I don't know if a lot of people understand the time and the commitment that go into creating these things, and the expenses that go into creating these things. I see a lot of people knock people online for their prices, and I honestly think Chris offers the best prices for the highest quality you can get out there. And like this is a great promotional avenue for him, because he's going to be making the mask on camera here. And what we're going to do during that process too is, I think right now we only stream in 720 on StreamYards. We're going to up the quality of that during that month. So that's going to cost us a little more money to do, but that way that you're seeing Chris do his work at the highest possible level that you can. So it's definitely appreciated, man. Never in a million years did I think we'd be doing a Rob Zombie mask, but I'm quite intrigued to see what the end result is.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one to work on. The Rob Zombie mask has a lot of detail to it, and it's definitely a little challenging in some ways, especially the herring part. But I'm looking forward to getting back into doing something a little different than the David Gordon Green stuff. I'm been doing those for a long time now, and I'm it's going to be anxious to get back to something a little different.
Well, I mean, I can think of something that you did not too long ago that's not David Gordon Green related and is sitting in a box back there. But
Yeah.
I want to take some proper photographs of that. I've never had the opportunity to properly photograph it and put it out there. So we'll do that too in the coming weeks. Fellas, sorry, one more time, just to recap. If you're interested in winning a custom-made Rob Zombie Halloween 1 mask, this is all you have to do. Head on over to our other YouTube channel, The Legacy of Halloween. Just punch it into your YouTube bar. The link to the channel will also be in the description of this video by the time it's over. Subscribe over there and comment on the video. That will qualify you one time, and then follow in weeks to come for additional entry opportunities to give yourself the best chance to win this mask. And then tune in to watch the mask come to life. It's going to be a lot of fun to do. Let's start with Scream, guys. A little bit of a roundtable discussion here to end things. There's obviously been a ton of controversy around this movie. Mike alluded to it earlier this evening with the Melissa stuff. I don't want to dive too much into that, but I will say, obviously, that everything that transpired there, everything that the director dropping out, Jenna Ortega, who might have been open to like a 1 or 2 day appearance on the movie, seemingly is more than likely not now. Movie seems to have a new director. They seem hell bent on releasing whatever this movie is going to be. Is this a good idea? I'll start with that, and we'll start with Dean. Is this a good idea? You're not, a pro Scream guy, but or should they put the brakes on this and release the best possible thing they can, rather than trying to hit a due date?
Yeah, they should approach it, with care and take their time. I've seen recently, as this weekend, someone, I don't know where they got it from, was very excited to jump on Facebook and say Scream 7 is going to start filming soon. And they have their director, and I'm just reading this and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, where did that come from? The only thing I know of is if they've picked a director, they're keeping that hush. And besides that, as far as I know, nobody has gotten a call back for casting at all yet. So this is in very early stages of anything right now. So they're going to be taking their time, even getting into casting and other avenues to get the movie even on its feet. So it's it's going to be a while before we even see or hear anything. And taking their time, coming up with a good approach is most important for them to come back and kind of bounce back from the backlash that's happened, and move forward and try to win your fan base back. You have to handle it with care.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know there's rumors out there of them continuing to push through this thing, which I wish I didn't believe. I wish that we weren't gonna find out that this thing's gonna film later this year or really early 2025 to get it out in 2025. But gotta tell you, I kind of think we're gonna see this movie next year at some point, and it just baffles me. Like I don't know if you guys know, there's a new Jurassic franchise movie that they're just dead set on releasing next year and rushing, essentially, like one of the fastest rush jobs you could think of for a blockbuster movie of that size. And it just has disaster written all over it. And, you know, I'm sure for my 4-year-old who loves dinosaurs, he's going to be over the moon with whatever they do. I know the rumors Jurassic City is what it's going to be called. We'll see if that sticks. But it's being co-written by the guy who co-wrote the first movie. And then you have Gareth Edwards coming in from Rogue One. But like they've already lost so many people on this project, and they're like, this movie's coming out, I think it's June or July next year. And like that means you have a script that hasn't been written that you need to write, you need to cast, you need to then shoot and post-production all within like 15 months of a blockbuster movie. Good job, Universal. I see you're on top of things as usual. But anyways, it seems like a disaster. And I'd like to think that Paramount is smarter than that. But then I don't know, because I think this whole situation's been handled fucking terribly.
I think what I saw, I'm sorry, Sean. If I read correctly what I saw on that, they're not planning on bringing anybody back from the previous movies. Is that right?
Well, I'm not sure. That's kind of what I was going to say. I actually saw somebody, it was a verified account, which doesn't mean anything these days on X, but said that they don't plan on bringing back any of the core 4 characters at all. So, which, I mean, it is what it is. I think 2 of them should be dead anyways. We know Jenna Ortega's not returning. Neither is Melissa Barrera. So, I mean, at this point, why would you bring back the other 2? Like, I get it. But, I mean, I don't know. I just think the character development for me from Scream 5 to 6 was better. And now it's just like you're going to start all over again with a whole new cast. And I am a Scream fan. It's one of my favorite franchises. And me personally, it's not going to happen, but I personally don't think they should make 7. That's just my opinion. Like, I would be perfectly okay with them just not doing anything for a while.
Well, I mean, we tried to tell people to watch this channel for a long time that those that want a really, really long break after Halloween ends before you start hearing stuff about other things was not going to happen. And sure enough, it didn't happen. And I'll say the same thing with Scream. There's just too much money on the table for these people and these studios to turn away from. Even if in the long run, it's more beneficial for them to do, I just don't see them turning away from it. It's a lot of money to say, you know what, we'll make more than this, but 10 years from now. I just don't think we live in that world anymore, even though we probably should. I will say this. If you're doing Scream 7, if you will, then it needs to be Sydney and done. That's it. No more. You don't need any of the other 4. You already gave them you get to live longer cards. You get a free life card, whatever. And with Sydney, go fucking show up at Neve Campbell's doorstep and present her with not just a financially lucrative offer, but something creatively that lets her go, okay, I can actually sink my teeth into this. This makes sense. Go do that. And I'm not saying it has to be Stu or whatever. Just tell a compelling story. Give us the Hush version of Scream, minus, what the lead character is going through there, where she lives it out in the middle of nowhere and we see her family and maybe get connected with her kids who would now be probably teenagers at this point, I would think. depending on how far you put the movie into the future. There's a lot you could do there, and a lot of different twists and turns you could take. I don't think you should call anything Scream 7 unless you're going to continue on with some continuation of those characters in some way, shape, or form. And if you're rebooting and you're starting fresh, for the love of God, don't release a thing next year. Take a big step back, figure out a new premise, how you want to deliver it, how you want to approach it, and come back in 3 or 4 years where you've had time to properly develop something. Because if it's a relaunch, a reboot of any sort, you need time. You don't rush ass backwards into that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. There's a couple of things that came to my mind that I would be interested in. Opening the film with killing off Patrick Dempsey. I know that's a huge name to bring back and kill off like immediately, but that's what the original was known for, right? Killing off Drew Barrymore. That always intrigued me, killing him off immediately, or don't kill him off immediately, and have Ghostface track Neve Campbell down somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, like she was living in Scream 3, and have that middle of nowhere effect to where the isolation gets to her, or something like that. I think would be really cool. But I'm with you. Don't rush anything. They're going to, but that would be ideal for me. Is not to make a Scream 7 and wait years.
Jade says Scream with Sydney's kids, like second generation. That's basically what I was alluding to there, is where they should go, where you can, pump up a couple of new characters in the kids and their friends, but still have Sydney be an integral part of the movie with just massive stakes for her, right? It's not just her, it's her family. You could also sell me on, like, I know some Scream traditionalists might not like this, but everybody likes to go back and say, okay, so these movies count, but these ones don't, and we're going to continue from here. Well, give me a Scream 2 sequel that follows Cotton. You could sign me up for that if you could get Liev Schreiber to come back. You could definitely sell me on that.
Chris, do you have anything to add?
I think with Scream, if you're going to do another movie, you definitely need to take your time. I would be saying that if it was Halloween, to get it right. I think when you rush something, the Halloween franchise is one that I think of as a perfect example of what happens when you rush a movie. You go from 4 to 5 and you see light years difference, just because they just saw that, that money flash, and they're just hurrying to get something out. But yeah, I think if you're gonna do a Scream 7, I think you do. I would like to see Sydney in it. I'm not a huge Scream fan, but I do like Scream. And for her, it was kind of weird, at first not seeing her in 6, and then I just kind of got used to it. Didn't really think much about it, but I would like to see her come back for Scream 7 if they are going to do something. Really take time to plan it out, come up with something really good.
Yeah, I think Sydney for me is one of those final girls that I've always loved, that I've never gotten tired of. Halloween is my favorite franchise, but I do think, with the new David Gordon Green trilogy, I got tired of Laurie. And that's something I thought I would never say. I think Laurie is at her peak in H2O. I think that performance is phenomenal for her. And Jamie Lee Curtis, and obviously, her performance in the original. But I'm always open to the fact of bringing Sidney Prescott back, because I've always think that they've treated her character right. They've never really disrespected her on screen, at least. So.
Off screen, different story.
Yeah.
Someone's going to clip out that 10 seconds and send it to Neve Campbell, and she's going to be like, fuck this guy.
Literally. Yeah. She deserves the world, though. I think I think she's the best final girl. Her performances have always been top notch to me. So I just hope that they continue to treat her character right. If they continue to, to go that route, or whatever they plan to do with it. I don't want it to be, I just don't want it to end up a Laurie Strode situation, which I was just very underwhelmed with. And I just thought her character deserved more and could have been more. And probably a lot of that was Jamie Lee Curtis's fault. But, at the end of the day, I love Nev Campbell and I love Sidney Prescott, and I hope that despite how I feel about Scream 5 or whatever, for that character has always been top notch for me. So
quickly here before we move on to our final topic and get out of here for the night, Chris and Mike, one of the movies Dean and I have talked about on this channel, it was brought up earlier tonight, is Thanksgiving. One, have you guys had the opportunity to see it? And two, how did you feel about it? Either one of you guys can start.
I liked it. I waited. I did not go to the movies to see it. I waited until I see it at home. But I actually was pleasantly surprised. I'd heard a lot of good things about it. There are some scenes that, for me personally, kind of made me kind of like cringe. I cannot stand the oven scene, even though it was kind of short. But I really enjoyed that movie, especially them leading it into a second one. I thought the kills were pretty creative. I really liked it. And Patrick Dempsey, I thought, did a really good job. I almost kind of felt like it was a little predictable in like who it was going to end up being, but all in all, I really enjoyed that movie a lot. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I thought it was a good film. I don't hate to burst your bubble, but Sean, I would pick 6 over Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you know what? I'm thinking about rewatching it again because I know it's on Netflix right now. I just know there was a lot of hype around it, and I walked out of it. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which to me is a good film. I mean, that's better than average. It's better than 2.5 out of 5. So to me, I thought to be a brand new slasher film to come onto the scene and do something different, it was good. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible or it even sucked or I didn't like it. Thought it was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. So I walked out of the movie theater satisfied. I didn't walk out disappointed.
Michael sends in a $5 super chat and says they need to wait. Everything will blow over and then bring everyone back. That is definitely a possibility. Like, wait until people's schedules are more open. Maybe you end with Sydney and those 4 again. But personally, for me, that's not what I want. Like, to me, you devalued those characters at the end of Scream 6 and the route that you went. But again, you can only give out so many, you get a life cards until, you stop having stakes, which sucked because I thought the stakes were so high early in that movie. I thought Gail had died. It was like, okay, here we go. We're kicking ass. And then they just go back on it all. And I thought that it really hurt what they did there. And I think one of the reasons why I value Thanksgiving more than Scream 6 simply is I think Patrick Dempsey's role in the movie from scene 1 all the way to the end is just so good. Even though I felt like it did become predictable and felt like I was able to go, oh, yeah, it's him. I just really enjoyed him. I thought he elevated the material for sure.
Well, one of the things I will give Thanksgiving that I obviously cannot give Scream 6 is the fact that they were not scared to kill off people. Right. That obviously, for whatever reason, was a fear of the people involved with Scream 6. That just blows my mind. Like, I just don't get it. Especially some of the ways, I think Chad, the way he was stabbed multiple times. You're telling me that man is just, I don't know. So that's one thing I will give Thanksgiving. Like, I thought the kills were good. They were not scared to kill people off. To Chris's point, the oven scene was very cringy. I did not think that they were going to go through with it, and they did. They did, and it was there were parts of that I really enjoyed, and I thought Patrick Dempsey did a good job.
Yeah, I think the problem is after Dempsey and the other fella who loses his wife there in the Value Mart stuff, which, by the way, I'm in the middle of the theater, not opening night, but like the night after opening night. And there's definitely older couples there to see the movie. I'm talking people in their 60s and 70s. And the Value Mart stuff happens at the beginning on Black Friday. And I'm just fucking laughing hysterically. Try not to. And thinking to myself, oh man, these people think I'm nuts. But like, it was funny. I loved the Value Mart stuff. You could do a Value Mart spinoff. I said that to Dean before. It's let's bring us full circle back to Halloween, guys. We're gonna let Mike Bat lead off here because we haven't really gotten his thoughts on this at all. The long rumored Halloween TV series was confirmed, and bids, the bidding for it won by Miramax, who already co-owns the film rights. We had Dustin McNeil on here a few weeks ago. He talked about some things and definitely alluded to some names that might be involved. We've alluded to a name that might be involved. Still in the very early stages. This is not likely to be something that comes out before 2026. But who knows? Things get rushed. Mike, where do you fall on a Halloween TV series? What works for you as a TV series? And do you buy the possibility that it's going to be a movie first that leads into the TV series, i.e. the Batman and now the Penguin?
A lot of thoughts right now. I would say the smart thing to do would obviously to do the movie first. I think a lot of continuous horror TV shows are very hard to do. I think of I Lie Chucky. I know a lot of people like that, but for me, really midway through the second season, that just started to get really repetitive. And it's just something that I didn't enjoy too much. And I don't want to see that with whatever Halloween series they come out with here. There are several avenues you could go. I would love to see Dr. Loomis be more involved. Obviously it's hard to replace a Donald Pleasance, but I would be open to exploring, that and being, diving more into that side of Halloween. And, you can obviously show Michael here and there. I think that would be really cool. But I do think the best way to go is the movie route first, the movie into a TV series. I just think it's easier, personally. But I don't know what they're going to do, man. I have a love-hate relationship with Miramax. If I'm being quite honest with you, after the David Gordon Green trilogy, like I just wanted to see, especially Ends, because I do enjoy the other two. I just want to see something different. And I have a love-hate relationship with A24, but I think one of the things that I do love about A24 is I probably would get something different. I think A24 has put out some pretty good content that I really enjoyed. I Lie Hereditary. I know it's totally different, but I think it's one of the scariest movies that have been released in a really long time. And I was just excited to see what A24 possibly could have done with, Michael Myers in a Halloween franchise. So I'm just nervous with Miramax because I do have a love-hate relationship with them. But we'll kind of see where it goes. But I think the easiest route to do would be a movie into a TV series.
Chris, you didn't get too much of a chance to touch on this last week, but for you, man, what works for you with a Halloween TV series? Because obviously, Mike sort of alluded to it there. I think it's really hard to do long-form storytelling with horror franchises or slasher franchises. I think there's been a few good examples that work. The big one that comes to mind for me is Hannibal. Which I think is fantastic. And if you haven't watched it, definitely go do that. But what do they got to do for this thing to, hit with audiences and not just be the same thing week after week? I think the last thing you want is this thing to be serialized.
Yeah, I don't think you want to go to do something that's been done over and over again, but I would like to see maybe something more on the lines of maybe Michael in the mental institute or something like that. Maybe like Mike said, something more of a Donald Pleasance or not Donald Pleasance, but Dr. Loomis being involved, and more so something around there. Maybe even go and have different flashback scenes, maybe where Michael was in the mental hospital for 15 years. So there's a lot of things that could have gone on there. A lot of different things you could explore. For me personally, though, I would like to get back to more of the stalker, behind the, in the shadows type things, not necessarily, just, in your face killing like we had in Halloween Kills or anything like that. I like the slow burn type stuff when it comes to Michael. I like the fact that he's in the shadows all the time. I like the fact he's watching. I like the fact that he toys with his victims. I like that people think Michael's a senseless, mindless, killer, and that's not the case. He has intelligence. He sets people up. He stages things when he does what he does. So I'm looking forward to maybe getting back to some of that in this TV series. And even when he's not on screen, you can still make his presence felt. And that's something that I really like about Halloween. And there's just something about this, that character and everything else dating back to when I was a kid. I was just fascinated by, just the patience and everything about, Michael and what he was able to do. And, just something about somebody who can just kind of just sit in a mental hospital and stare out a window straight ahead for, years and not speak a word and in a catatonic state, and just the mystery that surrounds that and what drives him and all that. I'd like to see kind of maybe something like that explored in a series of maybe maybe Loomis talking about what he thinks is driving Michael and something like that, and even have other people kind of come in and like evaluate Michael and come out, and give their own takes on what they think is really underneath all that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And to one of your points, Chris, I would love to get back to the stalking Michael Myers. And it kind of blows my mind. Like, even though I enjoy kills, if you watch the extended version, there is a scene in the flashback scene where Lonnie is walking down the street that they cut out, and Michael is standing behind a bush. And he goes behind the bush, just classic Michael. And Lonnie goes behind it, and he's gone. Like, why cut that out? Like, that is so vintage Michael that, like, it's very small. It's like a minute and a half. It makes Michael. It would have made that movie better. And I know it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how can a minute and a half of a shot make a movie better? Well, you're digging into the mystique of the original film, the original Michael Myers that we got, whether like when Laurie walking down the sidewalk singing and you just see Michael's shoulder and he's breathing, like, that is just I don't know, man. Like, I want to get back to that as well. And like another point that you made, Chris, was feeling Michael when he's not even on the screen, whether it's the fall Halloween atmosphere or, obviously we'll never get a Donald Pleasance, but the way things are written, whether that was in the original when he was in the house describing Michael with the darkest eyes, or Dr. Loomis, whoever did the voice for him in H2O at the beginning, describing him, like, the writing has to be really good too. So you do feel Michael when he's not on screen, whether it's somebody describing him, whether it's just the atmosphere. Like, I'm totally with you on that. And like, I would love to get back to that, Michael.
I think one of the best original scenes from Halloween 1978, I think it might have been in the TV cut, but I'm not sure about DVDs or Blu-rays or anything like that, but it was a scene where Loomis was talking to the other doctors about Michael is dangerous. He's the most dangerous patient I've ever observed. And they're like blowing him off, like, no, he doesn't do nothing. And he's like, well, this catatonia it's a conscious act. It's a cover. He's waiting for something. And when he goes into the room and he's like, you fooled them, haven't you? And he goes, but not me. And he's just staring straight ahead. I mean, even just talking about it in a geeky thing, I get chills. It's just why take that out? And like you were talking about with Lonnie seeing him behind the bushes, don't cut that out of the movie. That's classic Michael 101 right there. You want those things in there. And you didn't see that, after... I don't really recall much, maybe 2018, but definitely, Kills wasn't, and definitely not Ends, because he was not there. He was, off munching on homeless guys or whatever he was doing in the sewer. But I really like that aspect of that. And I really hope they kind of, take a step back and like with Scream, not rush, the TV series or the movie or whatever they want to do, and really take some time to plan it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think they have two challenges facing them. One, if you're using the shape, how do you utilize them in a way that's going to, pay respect to the character? Because you need that after the end of Halloween Ends. You can feel however you want about that movie, but it's undeniable that movie is incredibly divisive among the fan base. Like, that's undeniable. That's just a fact. Number two, if it's a TV series, you have to have interesting protagonists. If we're sitting through the same group of characters for 6, 8, 10 episodes, or even multiple series, they need to be relatable. They need to be interesting, and they need to be performers that you want to see on your screen. Dean, final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that cutscene from Kills real quick. Not to burst any bubbles, but I'm a big fan of that scene. I wish it would have stayed in because, like Mike said and Chris agreed, it's classic Michael. Upon watching that scene, I think they cut it because if you watch it, he's behind the bush, he steps back, he walks towards like a house, and it's like the side of a house and a front porch. So it's like he disappears behind the bush, and then he's just gone. But it's like, where did he go, and how did he kind of vanish like that? Yeah. So I think when you add that small piece of like logic to it, it didn't make a lot of sense, and I think that's the only reason it was cut. But I think you easily, you set the set design up a little different, move that bush closer to the front of the house, and you do that scene, and it works. Then he just kind of wanders off and off screen, and we don't see him, and then there's your original Michael factor. So I think that's why it was cut, but that slight change, I think, would be the icing on the cake to include it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us tonight. Sorry for the little 10-minute abbreviated break, but we'll make it clear now. I know I talked to Mike a little earlier in the day about this. Not making any promises, but our goal is to try to have some sort of panel, including the 4 people that we have on, when we can. Whether that's once a month, once every other month. It'd be fun to do some watch-alongs and just dive into more 1 or 2 topic based shows where we can have more in-depth discussion. There was a lot to get to this evening. I also want to give a shout out right off the top here before we get to the rest of our exit here. Halloween Aftermath is up on Indiegogo. James Grimm and company are raising funds over there. Again, if you want to see just an incredibly well shot Halloween fan film done on a production scale of some major motion picture films that are out there. We're talking Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision. They're doing it all 4K. They have their Indiegogo campaign up. Go check it out. And then Braden Timmons, his campaign is coming to an end on The Last Nightmare Part 1 in 3 or 4 days. So if you haven't grabbed content or items over there on the Indiegogo, go help them out. They're really close to their goal. I picked up their Black Case Blu-ray that they're doing. So check both of those guys out. Do an incredible job. They're both doing an incredible job in the Halloween fandom, and check out what they're doing. Mike, it's fun to have you back, man. Can't wait for it to happen again. Where can everybody find you at, and what do you got going on?
You can follow me or subscribe to me on YouTube, youtube.com/MichaelBish_. Take One Podcast, Spotify, Apple. And excited to be back on here as well, man. It was fun. It was great to sit here and talk. I could go for another 2 hours, but it was absolutely phenomenal. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Chris, Dean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a blast, man. Pleasure having you again. Can't wait for it to happen again. Maybe we haven't done a watch along that's not Star Wars related on this channel in a very long time, so it'd be cool to do that. The problem is I think I'd have to launch us from here and then not sit here and go put myself up on a laptop in the other room or something at this point. Chris, where can everybody find you at, man? Obviously you're doing the giveaway, which I'll get to in a second, but I believe you have another method of contact if people want to go and get material off you.
Yes, it's I'm on Instagram, ChrisC_78. And I'm also on Facebook at Chris Christensen. And right now, that's my only 2 social medias at the moment.
And again, the Halloween mask giveaway contest details are pretty simple. Each week, there's going to be a new step that you can take to get your name in the draw again. If you've already subscribed to our Legacy of Halloween YouTube channel, great. If you haven't, please go check it out. It is the Legacy of Halloween over on YouTube. Short form content that we're doing there. So go subscribe and then comment on one of the videos. So that'll be, once we see your comment up, And as long as it's what's the date today? March 4th or newer going forward, then your name will be entered in the giveaway for a Rob Zombies Halloween 1 mask giveaway, which will be actually constructed here on the channel, at least parts of it, with Chris. And there'll be streams that we do, and then tune in each additional week moving forward for the next month to find out how to get your name in the draw multiple more times to give yourself the best chance to win that thing. Chris, pleasure having you tonight, man. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys.
You got it.
Dean, I believe we decided on a show name for your little clip outs that we're going to do. If you want to reveal that to people as you go off air, and starting next week, I guess we'll do today's as the first one here, and eventually we'll go back and do all the other ones that we did. But if you don't have time to watch an hour or 2 hour version of Tonight in Haddonfield, and you just want to see what Dean's showing off on each given week, you'll be able to do that on the channel. How can they do that, Dean?
Yeah, so we decided on going with calling it show, share, and slash. Try to say that 3 times fast. So we're going to switch the name over from show and tell to show, share, and slash. I think it kind of flows pretty well. It's a little tough with the 3 S's in there, but rather fun. So yeah, we're going to move forward with the new name. And then you guys can find me on Facebook at Dean Renner, and in the Legacy of Halloween Facebook group. About 275,000 and change, I think, members now. So we are approaching 280. That's probably happen in the next couple of months. And then you guys can find me here weekly with Sean on Tonight in Hadfield.
We're always looking for the right committed people to come into our staff, which just has so much that they have to cover now that we didn't create a Facebook group with the intention of it being 300,000 people deep. It just sort of happened, and it became a big headache for Dean over time. And Dean and Rachel specifically have just done a fantastic job of getting that in order, and Brittany being added, and Sham and Chris and Travis and everybody else that has come on board to try to clean that up. We're always looking to add. It's got to be the right fit. But yeah, just send us a message if you're interested, and we'll go from there. But otherwise, check us out on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it, at Fandom Empire Now, Instagram, Fandom Empire Now, obviously here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Tomorrow night's the Legacy of Star Wars, talking Star Wars gaming and more. Other than that, though, also big one. Thank you to our channel sponsors, Chris, who has recently started sponsoring again. Backtrack Cinema. Jason does just a fantastic job with what he does over there. Jesse Storytime Spectacular. Again, without him, it'd be hard to do what we do. And then we have Matt Whitfield again, who longtime contributor and supporter of the channel, and a lot just supports a lot of what we do. So it's just really appreciated to all those individuals that help us continue to put out content as frequently as we do. And to our patrons, thank you. Without you guys, it'd be hard to do what we do here. And just know that it's appreciated, even if you almost forget to put the graphic up like I just did. Anyways, I'm out of here. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.